Gentlemen, one more topic to get into, and this one comes the way, well, of our panel member, Jamie Moran, who's sitting right here. He put a tweet out the other day, and I think that it is a conversation that I'm very excited to have because, yes, Game Pass, best value in gaming. Xbox Series X, best console in gaming. I don't care what anybody says. But we are waiting on all of these games from Activision, and some of those games include the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, the Transformer games, the Prototype games, Prototype 1 and 2. The list goes on and on and on. And we know that they started back up the backwards compatibility team to which they have to fix these games, right? They have to get these games working through backwards compatibility on your console. So there is an opportunity and a potential here to get like Prototype 1 that looks like it just released with newfound graphics, 4K 60 FPS boosts, our HDR boost. We could see it all. So Jamie, you asked and you said this: Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is out and Xbox and it's on Xbox Game Pass. It's a huge success. Now we need some Activision back catalog games added, especially those Transformer Cybertron games, which are still freaking amazing. You say it's time. I think it's time. Do we see that happen in 2024, or do they let the year play out and open up the 2025 campaign with a big push on getting older games onto Xbox Game Pass? What do you think, Jamie?
Honestly, at this point, I think they're saving it for January. I think they've hyped up, Call of Duty, rightly so. I finished the campaign yesterday. Phenomenal campaign. It's a great game, and its Game Pass launch is huge. I think Microsoft's wanting all eyes on it. But the question is right. We wondering where the back catalog games, but I do think they're coming. There's been multiple kind of quote unquote leaks over the past several months. Such as apparently 2 Transformers games getting rated by Microsoft at the Australian ratings board. That could be true. The problem is people can mess with that kind of stuff. But another thing that makes me think it's really happening is that Singularity, the Xbox 360 Bioshock style game, and if people haven't played it, I hope everyone gets to at some point because it's amazing. It's got a Windows Store listed now. It never had that before.
Yes.
And why would you randomly put that game on there if, one, it's not going on Game Pass on PC, and if it's not going to console? Because look, they have backwards compatibility in action.
Yes.
But and we've also heard rumors that Microsoft's working on a backwards compatible batch of Activision games. There's a ton of Activision games. I mean, there's Crash Bandicoot games such as Crash of the Titans, which is a fun game which people want to come back. There's the multiple Spider-Man games, and yes, we don't know what would happen with licensed titles, but I don't think it's impossible to get some of them back. And the Transformers one surprised me the most because considering how good Transformers 1 is, in excuse me, the amount of hype there was, people, I put it like this: when the Activision Blizzard deal went through, the number one thing trending in the UK at 2 a.m. was Transformers Cybertron. So, yes, Call of Duty is the big one, but people really want those Transformers games.
Yes.
And I do think they'll come. But I think, maybe Microsoft's wanting to start 2025 off with a nice Activision batch because, look, when they bought Bethesda, we got basically two batches of Bethesda games. And those were fairly short after the purchase in comparison to Activision. So, my thing is, I 100% think they just want Call of Duty to, have its runtime and all the ads and all that stuff, have a few months of that, kick off January with some BC stuff or back catalog stuff, and it'll be huge. And another thing why I think Microsoft's putting it off a little bit is that the Call of Duty games, the second they start putting more Call of Duty games in Game Pass, those multiplayer servers are going to be absolutely packed, right? So, for instance, Call of Duty Black Ops, the original one from 2011, when they fixed the multiplayer servers earlier this year, I'm not even kidding. There was like 100,000 people playing.
It was crazy how many people jumped back into it, bro. The servers, the minute they turned it on,
Yeah,
people were cheering in the streets.
yeah, it was crazy. In fact, there were people on my friends list that haven't been active for 10 years, got back online and bought new consoles just to play Black Ops. Right?
They were like, "We're back, boys."
Yeah, yeah. Everyone, everyone that was playing games back then that now have kids were like, "Yeah, Call of Duty, dude," and it was amazing, and I love that. And I think Microsoft knows that the second they start putting out, maybe Call of Duty Black Ops 2, like Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and Game Pass is going to crash the whole system. People loved Black Ops 2, the original Modern Warfare. I really just think Microsoft wanting the Black Ops launch to do its thing and then unleash the beast of back catalog games.
Listen, I think you're onto something. I think January is a great way to open up the year. Obviously, it's a year that's going to have. I think 2024 has been an amazing year. We still have the Game Awards. I still think we're going to get a Sarah Bond moment where she shows off the handheld that's coming next year. Again, it's just my speculation. No rumors, no thoughts, no theories other than this is what I think is going to happen. And of course, to open up the year, you have this big news of all these games, Umbra. February, you get your developer direct for Avowed that's coming out, right? In a couple of weeks. You do it early, then Avowed is supposed to come out at the end of or the middle of February. What a way to start the year if you started off in January with a big drop with the prototypes, with the Transformers, with the Marvel, Ultimate Alliance games. And if they're enhanced in any way, whether it be FPS boost, whether it be HDR, whatever, both, it's going to bring back games like Singularity that many people have never played. I'm here to tell you, if you've never played that game, my God, what an incredible title that most people missed on Xbox 360. Let's get your thoughts on when this needs to happen.
As far as like bringing in older Activision games, you're talking about?
Yes.
Well, sooner than later, right? Unless they're doing something different, if they're remastering them or remaking them. That would be my only thing. Like, if you're not doing that, because it's been a long time coming now, we need to start seeing these games pop up by now. So I would give them grace so long as what they're doing matters. If they're going to do something that's going to increase the performance, like you point out, or the visuals, or if they just do a remake, I would prefer remakes at this point. I feel like really go all out with the IP you have and do something special with them, especially something like true crime and stuff like that. Like they could
dude, that's a great one. Holy cow, that's a good one.
And they could revive that series and have their own, essentially their own GTA in a sense. Like this,
my top pick is Prototype.
Prototype is definitely one that needs to happen too, and that's their own superhero game right there. You see what I mean? So like, they have so many ways they can go about it, but they have to. I feel like, well, no, not nowadays. I was going to say I feel like Sony would do that, but no, not anymore. Maybe before Sony would. Sony, this just kind of seems like they kind of aimless right now as far as it goes with that. They're kind of remaking like the major heavy hitters, so I don't think Sony would even now. But I feel like if we're talking about Sony previously, before I guess PS4 era Sony, you might get a chance to have where they would explore to do that with their IP. And that's what I want Microsoft to do. Explore that with these IP. Don't just let them languish right there and then eventually drop them to no fanfare. Like if you put them out there with something special, give a remaster or remake to them, they could really make something out of it and then continue that on from people who are finding it or finally or should I say being revived in their interest, right? Like this, so many ways they can really play that. I mean, and even beyond true crime, they have you spoke on Banjo, but they have also what's the name of that series? They have the Spirals and stuff like that, and so like go all out, really do something with those properties. Don't just let them sit there and waste. I feel like even just adding them the Game Pass doesn't to me, doesn't seem to do it enough justice. I feel like they're going to have to do something with them besides like, oh, here the game's on there now, because many of us probably have those. Like, that's the thing I would say. So give it something extra after all this time, especially after you've had them this long, and we've been asking where are those games, right? That would be my thing. Maybe they can, Jamie pointed out, for instance, with the Black Ops 2 and things of the nature, or what did you say, Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 2? You said Black Ops 2, right?
I think it was Black Ops 2, yeah.
So like reviving that and putting that back online did a number. Now all these games clearly are not a Call of Duty, so they're not going to do what the Call of Duty would do, but you still can bring that interest back with, if you properly handle these things, and they really have the IP to do it. I just hope that they see the vision and do something like that. Something tells me though that they probably won't. It'll probably just be dropped into Game Pass, like, oh look, here's a title being added this month along with these other Game Pass titles. So I don't know. I guess maybe they have the right way of it too. Maybe I'm, me wanting it doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. But maybe that their way of handling it is the correct way. I don't know. But I would like for them to actually really explore that with the IP and do something special with it after buying, putting $70 billion to acquire ABK. Do something special with that IP. Don't let it just be there and you only got it really for the for Blizzard and such. And speaking of Blizzard, we keep speaking about what we would like them to do when it comes to World of Warcraft and Warcraft itself. Like that's another thing. We talked about Halo earlier, when we were talking about how they can explore that and really go beyond with the lore. Warcraft offers that. We've spoken about this before. Like, go all out, and you have all these studios, you have all this money behind them. Give us some experience. They had to cancel the game that they were making. Remember that? And like, go all out and put World of Warcraft or Warcraft itself, the lore, use that to make a new IP spinoff with that, something like a Diablo, but with Warcraft world. Like, they don't have to, it doesn't have to be WoW necessarily, because I'm always told like, well, WoW can't be done with controller or whatever. I'm like, well, you can still bring it to Xbox and have us use keyboard and mouse. Like, there's so many ways they can do that. And so it's not just those games from ABK proper, but also from Blizzard. The way I look at it, they can really go all out and do something with it. And I would like for them to make it special and not just drop like, oh, here's a game that you probably played 1,000 times. Here's something special that will really bring, I think, people into it more. Oh, well, maybe offer both. You can do either one, but I just want them to do something with the stuff.
I think both you guys knocked it out of the park as well. I think it is time. If they're doing, the one thing I'm glad that they didn't do, Umbra and Jamie, is that they didn't rush it out. Meaning they pulled a Nintendo or a PlayStation. Meaning, hey, we put X game from 25 years ago, or like the Xbox 360. They took and they dumped onto Xbox Game Pass, just so you'd be like, hey, you got to go play, right? Whatever. No enhancements whatsoever on any of the games. Well, that's not what Xbox does. Xbox always goes the extra mile, and you do get the HDR boost. You do get the FPS boost. So, yes, it is taking a little bit longer, but you got to remember, they disbanded the team that did backwards compatibility a couple of years ago. That's so I would true. Imagine that they would have to build that team back up. And we know that Sarah Bond is leading that charge. So,
and you know what? It also probably sounds unfair when we were saying this, right? Like, when I'm saying all of this, I'm saying it because I know Microsoft goes above and beyond when it comes to these types of things. If this was Sony, I wouldn't even expect them to do any half of this, right? If it was Nintendo, they wouldn't do half. You're going to get sold the whole game. That's it. And they're going to sell it at you a ridiculous price. With Microsoft, we have, not only do they listen to us, not all the time, but they listen to us enough. They'll hear the feedback and they'll say, okay, well, you know what? Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll put a little money toward that if the fan base wants it enough. Other, and we talk about what brings you into what makes you want to be an Xbox fan. Them actually paying attention to their consumers is what also keeps me here as well. So like, I'm saying all this and like what I would want, and I'm sure some people are like, well, why you want them to do all that? Well, because Microsoft has done it before. They listen and they'll give us, they'll go above and beyond where other platforms might not do that. So I think, from as the old saying would go, at least in the Bible, from he as much as given, much as required. Microsoft has given us a lot. So now I kind of feel like, hey, I want more. Right? I want you to give me, go above and beyond as you always do, as unfair as it may seem. And like I don't want to be ridiculous about it. I'm not overdoing it. Like, you have to give us 18 remake and masters, remake masters. I just feel like there's certain IP out there that I feel like could really be rejuvenated. True crime, I spoke on a second. Oh, that's definitely one.
Prototype you could certainly.
Prototype,
they're working close
sure.
with Marvel right now, because obviously Blade is an exclusive. They could work with them the same way Nintendo brought Ultimate Alliance 3 as a Switch exclusive, which, by the way, I played through it when I was on my flight, which is freaking what a great game. Nice. I'd love to see a remake of the original, or make a 4.
You know what's crazy, Boom? They got the original team that did those.
They absolutely do. Ravensoft made that.
They have Raven, so
yes, they
why
do.
not? Yeah, so like they can do that with that, and that's why I say, like, even with the Warzone, I'm not Warzone, with the Warcraft, yeah, Call of Duty in my head again. Warcraft, the world, the lore, that's so much lore in that. I don't even know half of it. Like, I got a buddy who's always talking my ear off about it. Well, the Warcraft, like, okay, whatever. You lead, what are you? I don't know. He's the Legion or whatever he said. I forgot the names he's telling me, but I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. He's telling me about that, and he's telling me about Warhammer. Yeah, he's like super, like, nerded out with all of those. He knows all the lore, and that's so much more they can do with Warcraft. Like, it's insane. We talk about Halo. Hell, Warcraft alone would probably bring them in more money, being honest, if they really explored that and did something with that and put out spinoffs and stuff like that. Again, I pointed out a Diablo-esque kind of action RPG with Warcraft, but they can go on so many ways with that. They can do a classic style RPG, turn-based. They can do so many things, strategy, tactical, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways they can go with that lore and really expand and bring it to console and PC, besides just saying, here's WoW, or we can't bring WoW over because of whatever limitations, right? So many more ways they can do that. And so, like, I really hope that they really take advantage of what they have with this IP and really explore and see what they can do, and don't doubt it. Like, it's so much more to, I'm pretty sure, as many fans, we look at the numbers of WoW subscribers and stuff like that, and it's still in the millions, tens of millions. Like, these fans are diehard. You bring something new from that IP, from that world, and it's worthwhile, it's great. Excuse me, I got close to the mic again. It's great and it's worthwhile. I'm pretty sure they can turn out a pretty profit with something with that too. And I just want them to really explore. It feels like, and I'm saying this is I'm not saying like, man, Xbox, do more. I'm just kind of like, I feel so much more potential, and I feel more like Xbox is, the people in charge are willing to actually do that. So I was like, hey, let me nudge you on a bit if I could, right? And I think that's what we're here talking, just some possibilities and potential. And they have so much of it.